Hey guys, we're on day 15 here, and it's important that if you haven't done day 12 and day 14, that you go back and get caught up with the demand and the supply, the laws of demand and law of supply. Otherwise, you're going to be a little bit lost here as we're moving forward. So make sure you're staying on top of stuff. Um, you'll see when you click on this today's notes that it's actually a PDF file. So you can mark it up on your computer if you want. Hopefully, you can print it off if you need to. The Google document with the images I have of these graphs, it didn't necessarily pop up very well. Okay, so anyway, we're going to get started. You've got a quick daily blog here. Go ahead and take a shot at these answers. And we're just having you identify, the quantity at different prices. So on number one, the price set at 4, our quantity demanded is 12. And if it's set at 6, our quantity demanded is 9. If we go to number 2, at $6, we're going to supply 5. At $12, we're going to supply 9. And then on graph number 3, you can see we have kind of a unique situation. We have both on here, where our price is 8, both supplied and demanded are 6. But if our price goes up to 12, our supply is 9 and our demand is only 3. And we're going to talk about what that means here today when we set these prices. And so hopefully it'll make some sense as to why we're moving these things around. Okay. So first of all, we're talking about this market equilibrium. And again, you guys are on your notes. You're up at the top here, and we're going to draw a few graphs as we move forward. But either way, that's where you're at. So this is where these two lines intersect. All righty, and it's where the price gets set where the grocery store is going to sell the perfect amount. They're not going to sell it too fast, where people run out because they know if they raise the price, they'll make more money, and they're not going to sell it for too much money because if obviously no one buys it, then the food goes bad, and the grocery store would lose money in that example also. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. As you draw these graphs, notice that again I give you guys these graphs. Make sure you label the axes, okay? And on my PowerPoint here, they're already labeled. So make sure you label those as we're going forward here, just so you are becoming good at that. It's going to play a role when we have our assignment later on this week. And our equilibrium price and quantity is really easy to find. It's this dot right here. All right. And I'm just going to label my equilibrium price with a P and a star. And I'm going to label my equilibrium quantity with a Q and a star. Okay. So it's pretty straightforward as you look at that. That's what we're trying to identify. Okay. Now, if the reason we want to draw these is because if we have a situation where the price is set incorrectly, okay, and whether it's setting a price too high or setting the price too low, we can predict what's going to happen when we do that if we don't set this price at the equilibrium, okay? So we're down here. You're on your next graph now. Okay, we're going down to the next one, and we're going to talk about shortages first. So that's when the price is going to be set too low. Okay, so go ahead and label your axes there. I've already got that done, and I'm also going to label these axes with numbers just for the sake of visualization. Okay, so we're talking shortages, and I'm going to put some numbers down here too. So I'm going to put I don't know, I'll just count by 100s. Okay, so I got 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Okay. Now we're talking about if we set the price too low. Okay. So let's say that we set the price in this case at $2. We can see that our equilibrium price is 3, but let's say we set the price at $2. So we set the price, unbeknownst to us at this point, too low. So we've got a quantity demanded, right? So our QD, our quantity demanded, in this case, equals about, I don't know, 425, we'll call it. However, our quantity supplied, the amount of money that our businesses are only able to make, where our quantity supplied only equals 180. Okay, so our quantity demand, lots of people want to buy these things. Imagine like if you're going to a concert and the tickets were like super cheap, right? A lot of people are going to want to go and they're going to run out of tickets if they set the price too low. So our quantity demanded, when our quantity demanded is greater than our quantity supplied, this equals shortage. Okay, and that shortage is described right here. Okay, so that's our shortage. Our graph just proved that. And this is why we don't move our lines when we change our price either, because we know if we set the price too low, then the price is going to, then it's going to lead to a shortage of goods. Okay, let's flip it over. You're on your next graph down here. Okay, so right below shortages, we're going to talk about surpluses. So again, you're right here. We're down to surpluses here. Get those lines labeled. I'm going to draw the exact same thing. I'll label it up again. Okay, with some numbers. And I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this time we're going to set the price to high. Okay, so I'm going to go here with my quantity. I'm just going to call it 300 again. 200. Okay, so now we have the idea that we might think that, people really want to come and see our product, buy our product. So think of like a football game with tickets with like a bad team or something. Okay, so let's just say we're setting this price too high. So we set this price way up here, right? Well, now our quantity supplied, right? Our QS is about 450. All right. And our quantity demanded, we'll call that 125. Okay. So again, we're talking about a situation where maybe the team is no good anymore, so no one wants to go. Well, we're going to try to sell these tickets. However, our quantity supplied is way bigger than our quantity demanded. That's going to lead to a surplus of goods. So we know, and again, we're proving common sense, right? We already know if we set the price too high for something, we're not going to sell it. Think about at a garage sale, right? Eventually, this price is going to come down because we know that we have to sell stuff. If you've ever been to a garage, if you've ever had a garage sale before, at the end of the day, after you haven't sold all your stuff, you're like, hey, somebody almost just come take my stuff for free. You lower this price, right? And then that price is going to go down until it gets to this market equilibrium. We're eventually going to have everybody be happy in our economy because prices can change. Okay. And again, just like if we have a shortage, well, eventually they're going to figure out like, hey, people really want this stuff. Like, let's figure out how to make more money, and that price is going to get back up to that equilibrium. Okay, so kind of proven common sense with some graphs. All right, this is the science part of this econ stuff, which again makes things a little bit clearer, hopefully. Now, there are some cases where we're going to shift what our our supplier demand, right? We talked about these shifters. So when we do shift it, go ahead and take a quick second and look at this. Write down your answer for this. Okay, pause the video if you need to. If we shift our demand, you can see that our price changes in the upward direction, our quantity changes in the upward direction. If we shift our supply, you can see our price changes in the down direction and our quantity changes in the positive direction. Okay, so you should be labeling those numbers. Quantity supplied, or the new equilibrium is at 11 here. The new equilibrium is at 14 and 14 over here. Sorry, 11 over here and 2 also. Okay, so let's talk about some things that are going to shift and what happens to our equilibrium point as we move forward. So you're still on your notes here. Flip the notes page over, and you'll see that on the back side. Flip the notes page over, you'll see that okay, you've got these looking graphs here. Okay, go ahead and get them all labeled up. Okay, get it done. And again, see if I can't draw on my screen with this, but get those labeled up. We'll talk about each of these individually. All right, so we're on an increase in demand first. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start off by just simply identifying our equilibrium price and our equilibrium quantity. Okay, so we can see. So we got our price, I'm going to put a star. I got our quantity, and I'm going to put a star. Okay, and we're going to shift our demand curve to the right. This is an increase in demand. So we're going to shift our demand out to the right. Okay, we've got a new equilibrium point. All right, and we want to figure out what happens to our equilibrium price and our equilibrium quantity. So our new equilibrium point gives us a new quantity. I'm just going to label this like Q1, and we have a new equilibrium price. I'm going to label this P1 just so we can see what's going on. So our equilibrium price has increased. Our equilibrium quantity has increased. Okay, we have more people wanting to buy things. A good example of this would be like silly bands. And I think I mentioned that in my other notes. But silly bands a few years ago, right, where people were going crazy over them, people getting kicked out of, or people getting them banned from elementary schools, right? So people were willing to pay a lot of money. Well, silly band companies started trying to make as many as they could. Quantity increases, right? And we also started paying a little bit more money. So our price goes up and our quantity goes up. Our equilibrium price and our equilibrium quantity will increase. Kind of proving common sense again, right? Based on those different shifters that make our demand increase. Let's flip it. Let's decrease our demand here. I'm going to start out with, again, just our first equilibrium price and quantity. Hopefully you're drawing what I'm drawing. So you're moving over to the right. Okay, you're on a decrease in demand on your notes. Shift this curve to the left. Erdl, right? Increase right, decrease left. We have a new equilibrium price, Q1, P1. All right. And what has our equilibrium price and quantity done? Take a guess real quick before I tell you. Hopefully you're seeing that the price is going down, the quantity is going down, you have a price decrease, and a quantity decrease. All right. Let's get to the supply side of things real quick. All right. So obviously hopefully you're still following along on your notes, and you're seeing that right now. I'm obviously going a little bit slower today to make sure that we're all getting this stuff because it's important and it's tricky, and there's a lot of questions on the test for this. So anyway, we're down here. We're going to increase our supply. All right, start out same way we have. Let's identify our original equilibrium here. And let's increase our supply. Remember, super important. Erdl, IRDL. Okay, so we increase right, decrease left. Remember, it's going to look kind of crazy because it looks like if you're not careful, if you increase your supply here, it looks like that supply curve is going downwards, and you're going to get messed up if you don't remember that Erdl. Okay, so we've got a new equilibrium price, increases in supply. Maybe we have a cheaper way to produce stuff. Maybe we have some competition. We increase our producers, and we have this equilibrium price going down, and our equilibrium quantity increasing. Okay, so we can predict that anytime we get a new competitor, that prices are going to be lower, so we have price competition, and that we're going to be able to increase our quantity as well. Okay, so I didn't label that Q1. All right, last one here. All right, is let's decrease our supply. Okay, so remember Erdl. Go ahead and get yourself started, get things labeled. All right, and we're going to decrease our supply, so we're going to shift our supply to the left. Okay, new equilibrium price, new equilibrium quantity. Our price has gone up, our quantity has gone down. So you think about like a natural disaster, right, where we destroy a crop or something. And we say, okay, well, what's going to happen to the price of stuff if a crop gets destroyed? Well, the price is going to go up. And if it gets destroyed, our quantity is going to go down too. And so we kind of prove this common sense, what we already know with some graphs here based on based on some simple logic, right? Our laws of demand and supply that we know are true because um, we went over those the last couple of days. Okay. Here's what you've got. Okay, for today, you've got and everything is linked for you. Okay. You've got one more. You've got one more. You've got another. Sorry, Google form that you've got to do. So that'll be linked on Google Classroom. I don't have that set up yet. Um, Actually, yeah, I do. So that'll be linked on Google Classroom on on day 15. Okay, so I have this. I don't have the video. It's the supply and demand headlines. Okay, it goes along with the sheet that you can get from uh, day 12. Okay, so anyway, you're at the bottom here. You're doing those 8 and you're answering those questions. All right, and now is kind of the time. So on day 16, you're going to have an actual assignment that counts for points. So now is the time to email with questions and try to get on top of this stuff. And then later on this week, we're going to introduce a project that I think you can have some fun with that's going to tie together two things that maybe seem unrelated. Okay, but it'll be good. Keep staying on top of this stuff, especially this week, because some of this stuff's getting a little bit more complicated. Other than that, I will talk to you soon. Keep up the good work. A lot of you guys are doing really, really good. If you're somebody that started off a little bit slow, by all means, get caught back up and get a hold of me. Let's figure out how we can help you out.